Welcome to the Third Degree Masonic Podcast, where we are always on the level. We're your hosts. I'm Brother Samuel.
I'm Brother Gabriel.
And we got Brother Ryan sitting in the sound chair today, and we're just a bunch of Masons trying to figure out what we're doing in this fraternity. Welcome back, Craftsmen, to the show. Today we have a very fun episode for you. Craftsmen, did you ever think that maybe a family vacation, one where you were, you go through all the trials and tribulations of a typical family vacation. You got to get the kids in the car. You never leave on time. You got to pay for tolls. You hit traffic in whatever big city you got to drive through to get where you're going. But you go through all of that and you get there, and the one piece of your trip where you're just like, I think maybe I might jump into something Freemasonry absolutely changes your perspective on that trip. Brethren, I have one heck of a story for you, and it comes from our own Brother Gabriel.
Alrighty. Well, thanks, Craftsman. I guess I will take it from here. So, I guess I will start from the beginning. For several years now, my wife and I have gone to Tennessee to visit her extended family. They live in the kind of northeastern Tennessee area, specifically the town of Newport. And it was last year, because we do this vacation every year during the late October, early November time. We were leaving Newport, Tennessee last year, and I saw a sign as we were leaving town that said Masonic Lodge, Newport number 4, and an arrow pointing to where it is. And so I thought to myself, there's a lodge here? And as we were leaving and heading back to Ohio, I said, next year, I will be sure that if they're having a lodge event while I'm down in Newport, I will go to lodge.
So you guys just visit to go visit her family down there. And
it's a nice, Tennessee is beautiful. Eastern Tennessee is just all of Tennessee is beautiful, but specifically the mountains in Eastern Tennessee is just picturesque and beautiful.
I have never been there. So I've driven through Tennessee to go to Georgia, but that's I-75 going all the way down. You see the mountains, but it's not quite the same thing.
Oh, it's beautiful to just be in a cabin experiencing it. It's really beautiful. And being a huge Titanic nerd, the Titanic Museum in Pigeon Forge is just spectacular.
Oh, so you guys are near Pigeon Forge then?
Mm-hmm. About 45 minutes to an hour away from Pigeon Forge.
Okay, so that's not too bad.
No, it's great. Everything's within half an hour to an hour drive of where we're at.
But all the years you guys have been going down here, because you've been with your wife a long time.
We've only been going about, I think this was the 5th time.
Okay, so
that's 4th or 5th time we go down.
5 years or so. So
yeah.
All these times you've never noticed there's a Masonic Lodge there.
No, not until last year coming back.
And you just were like, hey, I'm going to do something Masonic here if it's available. Kind of like our trip to Gettysburg.
Exactly. So it was a couple months ago, I was sitting at Brother Staylor's house after meeting, and Master Taylor was there as well. And I'd gotten to talking with them about it, and we had finally nailed down the exact weekend our trip was going to be. And while I'm sitting with brothers having some drinks and cookies post-lodge, I go, well, you know what? I'm going to email them now that I know when I'm going to be down there. And so I send an email out to their secretary, and I think it was a day or two later, I got a response.
Oh, that's good.
And it turns out that he sent me an email back. We exchanged information, everything, validated everything, all of that. And he told me that on the Friday, while I will be down there, they will be having a grading. And I didn't really ask what that meant or anything, so I just said, oh, okay, standard time, the 7:30. He's like, yep, everything's all good. We'll see you there, brother. And that was maybe a month or so before the vacation. So, long story short, as you were saying in the intro, vacationing can always be tough. especially the packing and the driving and everything.
Well, and you're toting around a toddler.
That was what I was going to say too, is that try doing all of this with a toddler who is not quite 2 yet, but is entering his terrible 2s early.
Terrible 2s.
It was an interesting time. Also, we were on the phone with our realtor the entire drive down because we were working out some really nice stuff on that front. But
because you guys are selling your house and buying a new house at the same time.
Yes, so I won't bore people with any of that stuff, but it also made the drive down just so fun to deal with.
Nothing like being in a packed car talking about business, big financial decisions.
Exactly. So
nothing like getting to the Airbnb and being grumpy.
And sick.
We've all been there.
Oh yeah, we have all been there.
I distinctly remember growing up, going on vacation with my parents. I hated going on vacations because I knew leaving was just hell on earth. Just mom, my dad just like, and I'm just over here like, it's 6 o'clock in the morning at Detroit Airport. Shut up. I just want to play Pokemon.
Yep, that is exactly how it is.
Get where you're going, and everybody kind of just apologizes without apologizing, and you just begin to have fun after that. So that's what I remember from all my childhood.
That's a lesson I'm going to have to learn to do next time.
Yeah, you just, my dad's words exactly were, you want to go get a drink? And my mom would go, yeah, I'll go get a drink. And I would just be in the hotel room by myself, just, I'm going to play they're like, so dad would go get her a drink, and they'd come back, and then they'd be fine. That was the vacation. But anyway, so you were saying we're going.
So we get there, and we have all the nice time with her family that's down there. A nice time sightseeing. I always go to the Titanic Museum when I'm down there. Great fun. But I'm waiting and preparing for lodge. Now, we generally pack pretty light as we can, but I made sure I took my apron case, my suit bag, my nice shoes, because I had done some digging and questioning, and apparently grading is inspection.
That's just their word for it.
Well, yes, but I'll get into that because how we do inspections, the suits and everything, preparing for that, that's how I went down preparing for that.
Mm-hmm.
And my goodness, is that not what it exactly turned out to be? Or if it is, they do it so much differently than us. But I will get into that.
Okay.
So I hadn't had much communication, but I had looked up the lodge online, and I had gotten a little bit familiar with their address and their building and everything. And so it's going to be 6:30 dinner, or 6 o'clock, 6:30-ish dinner, 7 o'clock meeting for their grading. And I'm getting ready at the Airbnb. I'm getting my suit on and everything, ready to go. And I leave, and I get there, and I walk in the door of this big brick building with a plantation style awnings on the front and back.
Oh,
but it's so you've got a mini plantation style awning on the one side and a couple of small pillars, but then brick building too. So it's an interesting aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
And I open this big wooden door,
mm-hmm.
and it opens directly into their kitchen and common area, their dining room area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you instantly just walk into people eating and getting food. And so I kind of stop with the door open. I've got my apron case in my hand, and a couple of the brothers look at me. I mean, I've got my name placard, my past master's name placard and everything on.
Mm-hmm.
And for a brief second, time freezes and a bunch of old guys are staring at me. The young guys are just kind of doing their thing. The old guys are giving me that old man glare, and I'm just kind of holding on to the door. And for a split second, time freezes. And then it's just, oh, hey, brothers, how's it going? My name's Brother Gabriel Fawcett. I'm from Genoa Lodge in Ohio. And start shaking hands. I start talking a little bit because my wife's grand uncle, I guess my mother-in-law's uncle.
Yeah.
So I don't know what he is to my wife. She just calls him uncle, but he knew some people at the lodge. He's not a Mason, but he is good friends with people who are at lodge.
Mm.
So I got to meet them, talk with them a little bit, and I was integrated so quickly. Like, they had me get food, they had me sit down, and we just started talking.
Mm.
I met a brother who regularly drives through our area in Ohio, actually, for his job at GM in Michigan.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's constantly driving through. And in fact, he may potentially be a guest in the future, but we will save that for when it comes.
You were telling me
I don't
about
want to
that.
tell all of his stories when he has plenty. He was a Mason, not much older than us, but he has a storied history in the fraternity.
That's awesome.
He's a lot like Matt.
Oh, cool.
So if he can be on the show, that'll be an amazing episode.
Awesome.
But no, it was so amazing. And my icebreaker that I did after I'd been meeting people a little bit and talking and finally got up to get some food is that I was actually secretly sent by the Grand Lodge in Ohio to make sure that they're serving green beans at their inspection.
That's hysterical.
And they were, and it got a few laughs, and I was pretty proud of that one.
That was pretty funny.
So it was just so amazing how I was accepted right away.
So let me ask you a question real quick, because I love the fact that you were accepted. What's the, we talk on here previously about how your lodge needs to have a culture. It has to have a soul of its own.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say the culture of their lodge was? Just among the brotherhood, not the theme
among
of
the brotherhood. It was so like, here at Genoa, like we've known Charlie and Mark for a long time.
Right.
We've known, like, we're all good brothers and friends here.
Mm-hmm.
All of these guys acted exactly like the Genoa Lodge members do with each other,
Mm-hmm.
but I also got a sense that these guys are also always at barbecues together.
Oh, nice. So they're kind of like
if that kind of makes sense. It's like they were really like close, and I don't mean necessarily like buddy comedy movie close or anything, but like they were a good group of guys.
So kind of like our small little clique
Yeah.
in Genoa Lodge.
Yeah,
we're all...
It was...
Not that we have a clique.
They get along with each other so well. They had so much fun doing their meeting, and the really old guys joked with and laughed with the young guys, the young Masons, quite a lot. Like, that was something I really liked seeing, is that their integration of their members is like complete. There isn't a clique of it didn't seem like us younger Masons and like Doug Habegger's age range of Masons like separated.
Sure.
Which we don't like to do that. It's not we do it intentionally. It's just we've known each other for long in our age group.
Right.
And Doug and his friends have known each other forever in their age group. But it seems like they were all really integrated at Newport Lodge. So it was something that I really liked.
It wasn't the
admired.
young officers and whatever, and then the older guys that are, they're not.
Oh, yeah, their officer line was all old and young.
So they had a mix of older guys.
It was amazing mix.
Cool.
So
kind of like the opposite, I guess, of when Ryan and I went to BG, and their officer line was all 20-something year olds. So
yeah, so
that's cool.
The Newport Lodge combines youth and determination with age, wisdom, and experience really well.
Cool.
But there's one little tidbit I wanted to talk about their building just because I found it so fascinating. And Ryan, as an engineer, you may either love this or hate this. They were showing me around their building.
Mm-hmm.
And it was incredible because these guys are like, obviously some of the guys are either contractors or people who have experience in building stuff and everything like that, because they were showing me all the details of their building, and it was so cool. All 4 of the brick walls on the outside of their lodge are laid in different patterns. And they showed me all of this, and I guess we'll just call it the south wall where we started. It was all like horizontal bricks with ribbons of vertical bricks on it. And then the east wall was kind of just all horizontal bricks. The north wall was a weird combination of horizontal and vertical bricks. And then the west wall, which had this like really intricate like awning thing, had zigzag brick patterns.
No, I hate that.
So all 4 walls had different brick patterns.
That's a design choice.
Incredible.
That is a design choice.
And they have this beautiful like late 60s, early 70s vintage neon square and compass. Like you know those old neon signs that have like almost looking like faded yellow plastic on the front of them?
Yes.
That's what they had, and they have this big one on top of their lodge and a bell in the very top on a little like one of those square little buildings that just pops right on the top of their lodge. Because their lodge has a amazing history behind it.
Okay.
Their lodge was at one point a functioning lodge and a school at the same time.
Really?
Yeah. Forgive me, I have some notes about it, but I don't know the entirety of their lodge history, but I took notes as I was there as I could. And what I found fascinating is that it acted as like a community center for a lot of its early history.
Oh.
It was a school, it was a makeshift hospital, it was a lodge, all at the same time. And I found that just incredible.
Well, that does kind of track with masonry through the ages, though, that we've seen.
And part of their interesting history is their lodge technically has 2 numbers.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It is North Carolina number 50 and Newport number 4.
So how does that happen?
So apparently back in the day during the like colonial era and just post-Revolutionary War, there was a time where North Carolina administered and owned that portion of Tennessee.
Oh.
So when their lodge was chartered, originally it was chartered under the Grand Lodge of North Carolina.
Okay.
And again, hopefully some of the brothers of this lodge will send us messages and correct some of this information, because they were firing so much lodge history at me the whole time. That was part of the integration, is I just had
that's how Gettysburg
so
was.
many questions.
You're just walking and they're telling you things and you're like, huh? And then you have an idea and somebody's throwing something else at you and you're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So apparently that region of America had a lot of anti-Masonic activity, and there was at one point where either Tennessee or North Carolina revoked their charter.
Oh.
And that was where the whole 2 different numbers comes in, and the forming of the Grand Lodge of Tennessee. It's amazing history to have as part of your lodge.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I know of very many lodges. I know a lot of lodges, when they fold in together, or one folds and it joins, they join together as one. Like I know at Northern Light, we always talked about the Calumet guys too, but like it was still just Northern Light number 40. We just acknowledged the Calumet.
Yeah.
past masters in their history, but they were still just Northern Light 40. So this lodge is literally North Carolina and Richmond at the same time. Newport. I'm sorry.
Well,
Newport.
so it's not anymore, but they still own it as part of their history.
Oh, okay.
Because so that part of North Carolina Grand Lodge doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, okay.
So they kind of pay historical homage to it because they technically have two different start dates. Whereas North Carolina number 50 is chartered in 1854, and Newport number 4 is chartered in 1866, if my notes are correct.
Could you imagine having to design a T-shirt for that and picking which dates you're going to do? You just got 2 sets of dates here, and then they're just running underneath each other, and you're like, it's a technicality. We have to do this.
And hopefully someday I can maybe go back and go through their archives with them, because apparently their attic is like full of archives and historical documents and stuff like that. Like, cool. Like, I don't know if you've ever been to Grand Lodge of Findlay. I call it Grand Lodge of Findlay.
That's what everyone calls it, but yes.
Because they have a like lockable vault in their basement with all of their archives and paperwork and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's just so much that I want to talk about, but some of it is like code stuff and stuff that we can't always talk about. But like, I spent like the whole trip down practicing the Tyler's Oath, and it was kind of pointless because they do something completely different. Not completely different. It's a good thing to know, and it definitely made them know that I'm on the up and up, but I kind of got taken aback by how they do their checks for people.
Oh, okay.
But no, it was all on the up and up and all squared, and it was amazing, and I got to go in. So just what's interesting is they treat their inspection or this grading like a like how we would treat a special meeting.
Okay.
And remember how I said like earlier about my suit and everything? This was much more lax.
Much more casual?
Yes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I'll kind of get into that as why in a little bit. Like, it was, they still had dressed nice, but some of them were in like polos and slacks and everything. Like when I heard grading and compared it to inspection, like I thought everyone was going to show up in a tux,
right,
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was not that at all.
Okay.
There were guys who had just gotten off work, showed up in t-shirts and everything. I mean, basically like Jack. And it was so amazing because the most striking thing to me was how I went in there expecting one thing. I went there expecting Ohio 11th District inspection and got something completely different.
That's awesome.
So they had the Grand Lodge of Tennessee Grand Lecturer, I think, was his title, doing their grading, as they call it. And how we do, like, you know how we do inspections of like, it's picked of what degree you're going to do and you go through the whole thing and all of that. Their grading is like everything. They have to check everything and they have to go through all of the openings and closings and stuff minus the candidate.
Oh, okay.
Because minus the candidate portions. Because apparently their philosophy behind doing this is that the grading or inspection is to make sure that you are doing the best for the candidate. So rather than distracting, like forcing a candidate to go through an inspection while you're like being judged for it, they're like, what I witnessed was more of a study session than an inspection.
Interesting. So it's kind of like when we do practices, like if we don't have a candidate, but we said we're going to do the fellowcraft degree tonight, and our district deputy shows up. So Brother Williams, right where Brother Williams shows up and sits in the east, and we're doing the fellowcraft degree. We don't have a candidate. It's just somebody that we grabbed from the sideline and like, hey, you're going to be the candidate tonight.
Also, Mr. Secretary and Steward and Super Steward and all of your other jobs that you do, they had mints. They had lots of mints. They had buckets of little lifesaver mints scattered throughout the lodge.
That's genius.
Like little red buckets full of lifesaver mints, and they were all just having mints the whole time. And like I needed a couple, and a couple of the brothers would throw them to me. I would catch the mints right in the middle of what we were doing. It was beautiful to witness because of how they were doing it. The grand officer that was there was running them through everything, and it had to be perfect before they could move on.
Oh,
if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like if they missed one word, they'd have to go back, start the sentence, go through it again.
Wow.
Until they could move on.
Okay. So it was way less of a show. I always joke, and don't anybody take this too seriously, but I always say inspection is a dog and pony show. We're gonna come in, we're gonna do the degree to the best of our ability, and then we're gonna get judged for it. And the deputy or the inspecting officer is gonna tell us what he thinks. But mostly we have all these guests coming to watch us put on this degree, and secretly while you're there, you're kind of like, didn't you guys have anything better to do? Go away. Like, oh, I missed that word. And you're like, everyone in the room knows I absolutely screwed that up. We're not going to say anything today.
And that, I really got a great picture of like their lodge philosophy and Tennessee's fraternity's philosophy of how they do this, because the grand officer who was there, he did a lot of talking, as grand officers do, but I really liked a lot of what he was saying. One of the things he was starting with was basically giving an instruction lesson on how to not use Southern vernacular during their ritual. He was going through and like correcting contractions and everything like that, because I don't know if either of you have done much traveling in the South, but we all know the Southern accent and the Southern vernacular and the Southern speech patterns is very loose, very, very like jovial, very, very relaxed a lot of the time. And it was so interesting to hear Old English in a Southern accent, but without any of the Southern vernacular and contractions that you expect them to have.
Interesting.
It was so incredible. Also because Tennessee uses the like original ritual, like the first set of ritual. They haven't changed it or modernized it at all. It's very elegant. It's very like, if I had to imagine Southern gentlemen speaking, that's their ritual. That's
no kidding.
Exactly how I imagine it sounding.
Okay.
It was elegant, it was smooth, it was beautiful, it was thought through, it was executed properly. It was an amazing thing to witness them doing that.
I have so little experience going south other than to Florida, which Florida doesn't count. Florida's its own country. And the couple of times I stopped to get gas on my way to go to Atlanta, to go see Zach when he was in the military. So I have so very little experience. All I can imagine is Gone with the Wind, but masonry. It sounds so bad. I'm sorry, brothers, if anybody from the South is listening, but that's all I can envision is, quite frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. I can't. But it sounds like, from watching, I can imagine it, though. Like you said, Southern gentlemen discussing.
Yeah, it was exactly like that. And one thing I want to do is tell you about how this Grand Lodge officer was conducting himself and what he said, because I think you, Sam, will really like this, is because he wasn't sitting up in the east at all. He was on the floor with the guys doing their lines and sitting in chairs next to them, helping them, going through everything. He was like kind of in that like thinking man pose while the ritual is going on, listening for everything and then stopping them if they made a mistake and saying, it's this, not what you said. Let's run through it again and run through it until it's perfect.
Wow.
Because like when I said he was giving his speech about like proper etiquette and proper mannerisms when conducting ritual and not letting your native vernacular come through, he said something to me that I am probably not going to forget for a while. He said, the Grand Lodge, I have it right here, and I quoted this because I thought this was so amazing. He said, the Grand Lodge is here to teach, not critique.
Huh.
And that struck me as as just an amazing thing, because this Grand Lodge officer has traveled to this tiny little town's lodge to not watch a whole degree and then give them an inspection report, but to be on the floor with them, going through all the ritual and positively correcting it and giving reinforcement. And through a lot of his speech, it was like, what can the Grand Lodge do for you guys? How are we going to make this better? How are we going to make this the best possible experience for the candidate to have?
Okay.
And honestly, Tennessee is a little bit smaller of a jurisdiction, because we were talking, because we were comparing Ohio's numbers and Tennessee's numbers. I think they said Tennessee's at 27,000. So it's a little...
it's a little under half.
Yeah, so it's a little more...
A little more than half.
Yeah, it's a little easier to manage, and I think they have less square footage than we do anyway, state-wise, so it's a little easier to travel places.
You probably have to split Nashville into 4 districts. It's so big.
Okay, yeah, Nashville probably, but some of the other smaller areas,
I'm sure Nashville's kind of like Toledo. There's not one lodge in Nashville. There's probably 5 of them.
Probably.
They've all been there since the beginning of time.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to go back for a minute, because... So for our listeners that don't know, in Ohio, and every state is completely different on how it chooses to, I don't want to say grade. Grade is probably the wrong word, but that's probably the most accurate word on how it keeps the standard. It evaluates and keeps the standard of its ritual work and its lodges. And that is the Grand Lodge's duty. It is its prerogative and its duty to do so. So how a Grand Lodge chooses to do that is up to it. Here in Ohio, we have inspections. One night, someone comes out, they inspect us. It's a big show. It's a big thing to have your inspection once a year. Lodges visit from all over the district or the state. Sometimes you get out of state guests or out of country guests. It's a big deal. But that officer sits in the east with us, and he doesn't say a word through the whole thing. He just watches you go through it. And if you screw it up, you screw it up. It's in your notes later. Nothing stops. It happens. You try to do it with a live candidate. It's a good time. You get done with it. It's after the fact.
It's unique.
It's unique. But after the fact, after you have your inspection, is usually when that inspecting officer will come and do what you're talking about Tennessee doing. So if we needed help, we screwed up the fellow craft degree. Mark didn't know his lines. I didn't know my lines. It was just a bad degree. Let's just pretend that it was. Todd would come on a meeting night or not a meeting night. He'd just make us call a special. It just depends on how bad we did and how much we're being scolded. And he would come in here and he would do probably the same thing and teach us.
Mm-hmm.
He's representing the Grand Lodge in that case because Ohio's so big. You couldn't ask the Grand Lodge officers to do all that. It's just different. But I'm 100% endorsing the Grand Lodge of Ohio here. If we ever needed help, I'm sure they would come and help us.
Oh, absolutely.
Genoa is just in a very blessed place where we have a lot of very experienced ritualists and we run our lodge. We have experienced guys to make sure that we're not screwing it up. But what I find absolutely fascinating, though, is that their grading was taking the best, like just going with the assumption that we're practicing. We're not doing it on a live candidate. That was their grading. So I find that very fascinating, and I enjoy the fact that he just comes straight out and says, like, hey, this is what we're here for.
Yeah, it was so reassuring to hear that. And I mean, I love this fraternity. I love what Ohio does. Ohio Freemasonry is my Masonic home. I am an Ohio Freemason
through and through.
But Tennessee, what I experienced in Tennessee really made me hopeful for the future of the fraternity. Is because one thing they were talking about too is the tradition of the ritual. Like that especially like that's what that Grand Lodge officer was alluding to when talking about Southern vernacular and Southern contractions that are just inherent in how they speak, because that's what they've learned, that's what they experience, that's what they live with. And it was this Grand Lodge officer talking about the history and the tradition of the ritual and the necessity of presenting it in its most traditional, refined, elegant way to the candidate in their first experience of it. And it was amazing. They practiced all of the lectures through like middle school popcorn reading, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay.
Like they picked like 7 of their officers, and they all got like ritual cards or something like that. And they would go down the line, and like you would read one line of the lecture, the next guy would pick up right where you left off to make it so that everybody is learning the whole thing at the same time, but not everybody is having to do the entire ritual all at once on their own. And I thought, like, I want to start leading ritual study sessions here exactly like that.
Hey, it's more likely to learn.
I want to continue on, because I believe Charlie and Mark talked about taking stuff from lodges on their trips and everything. I want to bring the ritual studying and ritual perfection that I saw in Tennessee, and I want to bring that back to Genoa Lodge.
I like that.
And it was just beautiful. And when we left, when everything was all done, shaking hands, exchanging phone numbers, promising to come back if next year when we're down that they have lodge stuff.
Even if they don't, it sounds like somebody would probably meet you up there.
I'm sure somebody would meet me for a cigar or a whiskey or something. But it was just great to experience, and it was like 9:30 or later when I got done. And yeah, it was pretty late, especially on vacation, but it was so worth it. Every single second being in that lodge in Newport was more than worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, because I remember talking to you, just to tell the listeners how this experience changed you. I texted you because I was just in the neighborhood. I rode by your house just to make sure. I was like, hey, your house is still there. That's all. Like, I didn't stop. I didn't look. I was just like, hey, your house is still there. Haha. And then you're like, oh, thanks. And I'm like, how's the trip? And you're like, it's great. It's going great. And I'm like, oh, the sarcasm. And then, like you said, Liam's being a 2-year-old, and you're dealing with the house stuff, and you're dealing with this, and you guys got into a little bit of a tiff, and then you fix the tiff, but now you got to go deal with family, which you can love family all you want, but at a certain point you're just kind of like, okay, get out of my Airbnb now.
Mhm.
I want to go home. I want to take my pants off and lay on the bed. But that night that Friday that you went to this lodge, you texted me while I was at work, and my phone just kept going ding, 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 ding. And I have an Apple Watch, so my wrist is just going boot, 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 boot. And I'm in a patient's room, and they're like, oh, I think somebody's trying to get a hold of you. I'm like, oh, it's fine. So I get back and I'm looking at it, and it's just messages from you. Oh my God, you would love this. Oh my God, this is so great. I'm having so much fun. You're not going to believe how they do this. You're not going to believe this. Like, this is amazing. The brotherhood I'm feeling in this room right now is just so awesome. And I'm like, there it is. His vacation just changed. Now he's in a good mood.
It changed so much for the better after that night at lodge. And there was, and we could end the story right there.
Right.
But I just want to add a couple other things. Is we spent maybe a good half hour or more after lodge comparing Ohio and Tennessee ritual together,
which is absolutely fascinating.
Oh, they were so amazed by some of the stuff that we do or don't do, and vice versa. And I got to talk to them at length about demolay stuff too, because they don't have super active demolay in Tennessee.
Mhm.
I think they have demolay in Memphis is what they said, and I think that's like it.
Wow.
So maybe someday demolay can make a nice jump in Tennessee. But again, being a state with lower membership, it's kind of hard to do that. But it was amazing to see I got to live the traveling experience that we have heard multiple times on this radio show now, is that I've traveled a lot in our district. I've gotten to know a lot of people in our district. I'm even a member of a lodge in another district.
Mm-hmm.
But to transplant myself geographically 10 hours away.
Right.
And find a lodge which had a lot of the same type of personalities and members like Genoa does. And to live the exact same experience that I get at lodge, but on a like steroided level and in a place so far from home, yet a place that felt just like home. And it was beautiful. and I still don't know how to properly do it justice, because there's some stuff we can't talk about on the airwaves about what was so incredible about what they do and how they do it and everything like that. And I encourage any of the craftsmen who are in the fraternity to reach out to us here at the podcast. And I'd be happy to tell you what the incredible things that they do are, or the differences between,
or just visit it yourself.
Ohio ritual and Tennessee ritual, or yes, visit it yourself.
If you can.
If you can. Now, that is the end of my Tennessee Masonic experience.
I have a question.
Oh, yes.
Before you finish that. What was your feeling? So you're done, you're driving home, your brain's, I don't know where I am, just following the GPS back to my Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
You get home, I'm assuming it's late, your kid's probably asleep by now. What was your thought process coming home from that? Like, you're decompressing,
Yep.
the trip's, you're done with it, it's over. What was your thought process? Like, what did you feel after visiting another lodge 10 hours away?
What I felt going home was that I am part of something that will be around long after I am gone. that what I experienced in Tennessee made me hopeful for this fraternity's future. Is that I know that the spirit of this fraternity will last long after I am gone.
Huh.
And that is what I felt, and feeling that made me feel better about Freemasonry where I am at in Genoa.
That's so cool.
Now,
Okay.
there was one other Masonic aspect of our trip
Okay.
that was not in Tennessee. It was back in Ohio.
Okay.
We were coming back. I did the whole trip from Tennessee back to Ohio.
It's a long drive.
It is a long drive.
Mind-numbing.
We had passed Cincinnati.
So you're home.
Yeah, we're
Just
finally in Ohio. We get out of Cincinnati.
Which, by the way, sorry, not to interrupt you too far, but like for any of you that have never done this drive, I drove to Georgia. It's 12 and a half hours to get to Columbus, Georgia. By the way, the names just keep repeating themselves as you go. So there's like a Toledo, Tennessee, or something like that.
Yeah, there's a Toledo, Kentucky.
Your brain just kind of melts because you're like, holy crap, there's no unique names to anything. I'm just back in Ohio. But it's like it's 10 hours from Tennessee of just curvy roads and highway, and your brain, like, you hit Kentucky coming back up. Kentucky's the longest state. I swear to God, it took 7 hours to get through Kentucky. The other was just to get back through Ohio. Tennessee, I felt like I flew through, but like you're going through Kentucky and you finally look down and you're like, am I still in Kentucky?
Yeah.
Like, finally you hit Cincinnati, you see welcome to Cincinnati, and you're like, thank God I'm done with Kentucky.
Although even in the middle of the night on a Saturday, Cincinnati traffic is still awful.
It's awful.
It
Yeah.
is horrible.
It's not great.
I'm sorry. I love Ohio. I love everything about Ohio. Cincinnati traffic makes me want to peel my eyes out with a spoon.
Same with Columbus driving too.
Yeah,
Sorry, brothers.
Columbus traffic is awful as well.
But anyway, so you're back in Cincinnati.
Yeah, so we pass through Cincinnati on I-75 going north. We get to Dayton, and I'm going down I-75, and I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, this looks very familiar. Weren't Sam and I just here, like, for doing Grand Lodge stuff? Because the highway looked very familiar.
Yep.
I was like, yeah, Grand Lodge was in Dayton last year.
Yep.
And I look over, and I can see the Dayton Masonic Temple from the highway. And it's so far away, but it's so huge, it still looks like I'm right next to it.
Yeah,
it's so big.
It's beautiful.
And I've only ever seen it during the day. I drove by it in the middle of the night. That building was lit like it was some sort of angelic paradise. Like it looked like what you would see in a like a horror movie of like, this is your safe haven. It's so lit up. It's so beautiful. Or this is the place where you have to get your quest kind of thing.
I love it.
It was so nice to have had that Tennessee experience and then driving back home in Genoa and seeing the sheer beauty of the Dayton Masonic Temple from the highway.
It was like welcome home.
It was. And that I had a traveling experience that was very pro Masonry.
I love it.
And I was very happy to have it.
Well, I too had some interesting Masonic experiences over the last couple of weeks, and they all happened at places and times where so as you know, Gabe, I'm a member of a motorcycle club here in the area. I try to keep all of that separate, right? That's what club stuff's club stuff, masonry stuff's masonry stuff. Not that they conflict with each other. It's just different. Same, but different. A lot of the guys in my club are also Masons too. Interesting tidbit. But sometimes Masonry finds its way into it. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
you can't stop it. And my club is not unique in the sense that it also has, other clubs have Masons in their club. It's just like, same, but different. So every once in a while, those universes collide just a little bit, and you can't help yourself, right? So I had a friend from DeMolay. She was a rainbow. Her dad was the past Grand Master and a member. I can't think of what the name of the chapter. Chapter? I don't know. He was past, like, he was in charge for chapter for the state of Michigan.
Ooh.
And I believe he was in the Grand Line for Michigan. Their family was super active in Masonry. And she is dating a friend of mine that's in the club. And we kind of reconnected when she started dating him. And, we're like, oh my God, I haven't seen you since we were 12. Well, we're a family in the club.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like what we talk about Masonry here. So when her dad died, she has some family issues. She was worried about maybe some potential, I don't want to say violence, but, drama.
Mm-hmm.
And she asked that some of the guys come out and just be a presence there for her, So we did, but she asked me personally to come as a Mason. And, so I'm standing there. We show up on our bikes, and I'm wearing my vest and my colors, but I have a square and compass on my vest.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting because I'm standing there, and we're just kind of standing. We're just being nice. I mean, we're super nice guys. It just a little rough around the edges. So we're sitting in our own corner, and I see this guy, this older gentleman. He comes walking over, and it's their Grand Line officers. Not all of them, but a couple of them. And this guy comes over with his older gentleman. He comes with his cane. He comes walking over, and he goes, what lodge are you a part of? And I go, oh, I'm from Ohio. I'm from Genoa. I said, I'm just here. I'm a friend of Danny's. And he goes, oh, it's nice to meet you, friend of Danny's. I'm like, I'm Sam. He goes, it's really nice to meet you. I'm the Grand Secretary. Finkel, I think is what he said his name was. William Finkel. I don't know what they call their people there. I know he's a past Grand Master. He had a past Grand Master stuff. But when I tell you that this man, he got up, I didn't go stand up with the Masons for the funeral. They had a whole bunch of people there. I was like, I'm good. I'm just going to stay here with her. And, I'm a Mason, but I have my purpose here.
Mm-hmm.
And they had his funeral at a Masonic lodge. I mean, it was what it was. So people are asking me questions because the guys in the club that aren't Masons are like, hey, what's all this about? And I'm like, oh, this and that and this and that. And like, oh, that's really cool. And he comes over, and he comes out of his way to come over and say goodbye to me when he's leaving. He goes, it was so nice to meet you. It was a pleasure to meet you. When I tell you that when this man gave the eulogy, he sounded like Tiber Septim in Oblivion. I would have followed him to the ends of the earth. He was a great guy. Really, really, he did a really good job. He did their funeral service from memory.
Wow.
If that tells you anything. Very cool. And listening to him talk was just kind of like, you're just like, oh, wow, you can talk, sir. Like, it's kind of like,
you can talk very well.
It's like listening to Brother Carter talk. You're like, what is happening here? But on another fun note, so that was really cool. It was nice to be able to do something nice for an old DeMolay friend, and my universes kind of collided at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Can't help it, but it wasn't bad. It's usually not bad. It's usually just kind of like, oh, okay, what am I doing here? Which set of, prerogatives do I follow here? And then the other one, I was at a bar the other night. We had a pool tournament, and we're meeting up with another club to play pool with them. We're really good friends with these guys, know most of them. And I run into this guy. I haven't seen him before. He's one of their older members. He's been in for a long time. He's kind of like me. He doesn't get to go out very often because he's busy. And I get paired up with him, and I go, hey, I'm high pitch. He goes, hey, I'm not going to name him here. It's not my business. And he looks at my vest, and I look at his, and all of a sudden we change like the biker handshake, like, the hand clasp thing. Mm-hmm. We go from that into the DeMolay handshake. And he goes, okay. So he was a senior DeMolay. He had a DeMolay pin on his vest.
Nice.
And I promise you, like, people might recognize the the Masonic one,
no one's going to
recognize the DMLA one. It's very obscure. The only one I think would be maybe a little bit more or less obscure. Mine is I have a skull. I have the memento mori and a red square and compass. It's very subtle, but it's not. His was just the DMLA symbol, like with the crest, and I'm like, huh. Well, this is interesting. So it's always fun to see, like, Masonry is everywhere, in places you wouldn't expect, from people that you wouldn't expect, that you may have preconceived cognitions about. I just thought it was interesting that for like 2 weeks in a row, I just had 2 biker Masonic experiences, and I'm like, huh, weird.
Nice.
Doesn't happen all the time, doesn't happen very often, but when it does happen. But it's just, I'm happy to see that now that we're talking about being traveling men, we are moving about.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We're starting to see these connections coming about. And I am just so happy to hear that you had such a good time in Tennessee.
I had an amazing time. See.
So, what's one last thing you want to leave the listeners about Tennessee that you feel like you could share with them?
I'm going to go with the feeling and the spirit that I experienced while down there. Brethren, those of you that are in the fraternity, this message is for you. The tradition, spirit, and purpose of what we do is timeless and is important. And it's important to provide that to the next generation of brothers that come knocking at the door. And it's also good to keep working on that, to help yourself strive to being closer to achieving that perfect Ashlar.
And I don't think I could have ended that any better way. Thank you for joining us today, Craftsmen, on the Third Degree Masonic Podcast, where we are always on the level. And remember, Craftsmen,
keep your working tools in order and always be on the level.
Thank you.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast do not reflect those of the Grand Lodge of Ohio, its officers, or any of its jurisdictions. They only reflect those of the hosts or guests.